Hi there, YouTubers. I am Marshall Woodworth, a Louisiana native living right here in New Orleans, Louisiana, doing my first podcast because I feel compelled to talk about something that's important, I think, to a lot of people out there. I'm a local filmmaker, I'm a freelancer, I'm not part of the union. And today, my first podcast, I may not do any others. I just super southern just now. I may not do any others. I may not do any other podcasts. I don't know if I am or not. But I did want to talk about Star Wars, and I have my shirt on in support of Star Wars. I am going to say some. I'm going to rant about Episode 8. Okay, I'm not happy with it. I'm so let down. I think it feels just like I just watched Phantom Menace for the first time. Except this deals with the original characters. So this was more hurtful than the prequels. Now, there are some good parts in the prequels. So I've been a Star Wars fan my whole life. I grew up with Star Wars. The first album I ever owned that my mom bought me, single mom at the time, I saw my dad every other weekend, was the soundtrack to The Empire Strikes Back. And it was on a vinyl because I was born in 1976. So I'm like middle generation, Gen X or whatever. I don't know what I am. But the album, you put it on, drop that needle. And it was the disco version of Star Wars. It's supposed to be the Empire Strikes Back soundtrack, but it played something similar to Mecco's disco version released in the 70s. But it was actually by the Now Sound Orchestra, and it was like a slightly different version than Mecco's disco Star Wars. And back up a second. The first part of the album is the actual soundtrack, the orchestra. But after that, and it was the disco shit after that. So that just blew my mind. As a child, you can imagine it's like, oh, I'm just a little kid, and my brain's mushy, and it's just hearing that, and it just blew my mind. And I'm an acoustically sensitive person. Meaning, I don't, it's not that I hear more, it just means, and I did some research on this, the parts of the synapses or whatever in your mind that attach in your brain to the emotional center is probably more pronounced in my brain. For whatever reason, evolution, the good Lord come down and made it like that. That's Cajun talk, by the way. I might do that for funny references sometimes. In Louisiana, we have rednecks, Cajuns, Creoles, we got all that with different accents. And on the flip side of the album, when you flip it over, it was the actual soundtrack, not the disco version, the actual soundtrack of Close Encounters for the Third Kind, John Williams also. And every day or many times a week, I would test myself to see how long I could drop that needle and let it play that soundtrack before I got too scared and had to take it off. And usually it was about 5 seconds was a good day. Because you drop it in the middle of the score. And I'm like, I'd freak out. Oh, pull that needle off. Okay. Like an adrenaline rush. Acoustically sensitive, that's all. So Star Wars, I'm connected to Star Wars just as much through the sounds of you are beaten. Now it is useless to resist. That's the people working next door in the house. New Orleans has a lot of properties they're gutting out because of, blighted, gentrification, all that. Star Wars is very near and dear to my heart. I remember this commercial for The Empire Strikes Back, the advertisement. I barely remembered. I was a little nuttin'. I was a little tiny kid. And it was like, Luke is back. Dun, 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 dun. Leia is back. Dun, 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 dun. Han is back. Dun. The Empire Strikes Back. Like, And I definitely remember seeing Return of the Jedi and the movies when it came out. I think it was 83. I'm going to share this memory before we start this hating on episode 8 because it's an important memory and everybody should know. Okay, you know how like some people think that black people in particular, maybe more in Latino cultures and things too, that they're more animated inside of a movie theater, in the actual auditorium, the movie house, that there's a lot more talking. There's a lot more, I keep having a hunch over. There's a lot more talking. There's a lot more people talking to the screen and holler, yeah, and like, no, don't go in there. Nah, don't run it. That type stuff. Okay, white people too used to do that before the advent of VHS because going to the movies at that time was like similar to like going to a small sporting event. So there was way more when I was a kid, and this is in my generation now. So maybe young kids are watching this. You're like, 23 or whatever. Or you're like, 16, and I just started playing Battlefront for the first time. I never played no online shooter games. Okay. The only games I ever played was growing up was Atari, Commodore 64. Talk about load time. Oh, man, y'all think load time on Battlefront is bad. That's cool. Commodore 64 was like, it was like peanut butter and jelly sandwich you can go fix, and come back and maybe, and still have a minute or two to eat. Or probably in reality, I don't know. I was a child. Brains, absorb time differently. It's like a different reality. So I don't know how long it was. Probably 7 minutes. Sorry, I have a dog and a cat, and I hear... Oh, that's the construction workers. I have a cute dog and cat. We're watching Return of the Jedi, and as a child, I didn't really get the story. It was just good guys. I understood that, and I understood bad guys, and lots of lasers and music. And that was exciting enough for me. And they go in the Death Star. They fly into it. Anyway, towards the end, Palpatine is shooting the electricity out of his fingertips. You will know. You will pay for your lack of vision. It's got that type thing going on like this. It's always got this. I don't know how the actor Ian McDermott, he just had some weird thing with his finger. Now you will know. Oh, I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive. That's unrelated. I'm sorry, I just had to do that. And the Emperor shooting Darth Vader's son. Go! And then people are getting riled up, and there people are like, I remember the build up, like at a sports event, like someone's about to make a touchdown or something about the crazy about, and they feel the energy, and people, oh man, and you start people, and everybody used to stand up, and white people too. Back a long time ago when I was little, people would stand up for the good. Yeah! They would way more interact. They don't, do that anymore as much. I mean, sometimes, but not as much. The Emperor shooting. Darth Vader picks up the Emperor, throws him down that shaft, and killing the. And at that moment, the standing, oh mother flippin' vation. Yeah! And some dude behind me, I know it was a man. I don't know what he looked like because he's behind us. But he must have had the popcorn in his lap. And he was eating popcorn, sitting like a normal, just, like, oh, man, yeah, whatever. And then, and he got so excited at the end that he stood up. He just stood up so fast. And it made the popcorn fly up in the air just enough to land on the side of me. And it looked like a standing ovation with confetti. But it was, what's his name's popcorn, like over the side. Didn't even notice, I was just a little kid, the excitement and all that. So that's my memory of Return of the Jedi. And it was just what a triumph. The whole movie. Yeah! People were screaming. Yeah! Hell yeah! Screaming down here in Louisiana. Let's rate some Star Wars so you know who I am and you can relate somehow. Hopefully you can. What is Marshall Woodward's favorite Star Wars movies or in order or things? First of all, not only is The Empire Strikes Back the best Star Wars film, but to me, it is the number one best science fiction film ever made. Number one best science fiction film of all time. I think it is a masterpiece. It surpasses just being Star Wars. To me, It's greater than that. It's just one of the great, and yes, it's dependent on the one that comes before and after it. People dog on Return of the Jedi. I don't know why. I love it. I know the Ewoks are silly. I know it's true. I've pulled the rose-colored, glasses up and just, look and seen. Yes, it is a marketing ploy, and it's kind of silly, and it kind of goes against the grain of Star. Let's be honest. However, the rest of Return of the Jedi is so good, and it's parts of it are so dark. You will bring him before me. Yes, my master. It is too late for me, my son. So, you have a twin sister. Your feelings have now betrayed her too. Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. Now his failure is complete. If you will not be turned to the dark side. Everybody together? Together, 1, 2, 3. Then perhaps she will. No! Let's get to the point. Okay, so to me, I'm sorry, craftsmanship, Rogue One is one of the best crafted films ever. As far as the quality of craftsmanship, I will say it publicly and I will put it in writing. The original Star Wars trilogy, and under that is Rogue One. There it is, dude. I mean, that's a big fat salami on the table. Cut it if you need to. Maybe it ain't a table to you. Maybe it's a cutting board. Under that would be Episode 7. Episode 7 was a wonderful film. It had major flaws, but the good part, at least the first half of the movie to me. And look, I'm a filmmaker, and I want to talk specifically to J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson or anyone who's editing these Star Wars films as an editor. I mostly edit. This Premiere Pro over here, you can't see on the screen. Breakneck editing turns me off. Once the breakneck speed editing, this constant fast, I can't. I don't think human emotions are naturally registered or weakened by that. I think you can get a bigger emotional response like from a slower. Breakneck editing is fine for action sequence, but it's constant. That is my criticism of Rogue One. It was constant breakneck editing, but everything else about it was just so crafted. It was perfect homage to the old while doing some new fun shit at the same time. It was great. I love it. Under that would be the next one on the Star Wars list. So it's original trilogy, blah, blah, blah. Rogue One, Episode 7. Under that would be, Episode 3. Because there are parts of Episode 3 which are balling. Give it up. Okay? Look, I don't care how much the rest of the prequels sucked. And I know people dog on Episode 2, and I don't know why. Why y'all dog on Episode 2? Episode 1 was clearly inferior. At least Episode 2 had some, they had some bad, you had to figure out the clones and all that. Episode 3, it's all worth it. And it's only about a 4-second amount of time. It's only about 4 seconds long. When Yoda walks in that room, boy, he walked, Palpatine turns to look. Yoda just walks in there, does his little hand. Those Imperial guards go flying back. Oh, it's like the power of Yoda. He didn't even have to look. He didn't even look. And they didn't even see him. Why are they so high-paid guards? Somebody standing around outside the front door. Gotta take a sip of coffee on that one. Ass Imperial guard. It doesn't matter about the rest of the list. Episode 2, then Episode 1. That's it. Now you know about me. All right, so let's go to Episode 8. Where do I begin? I went into Episode 8 with an open, I put 7 truckloads of ginger into my brain. It felt like open-minded. In fact, I was thinking this might be the best Star Wars film of them all. I was like, man, what if this is the best one? Because it looks so dark and it's supposed to do different things and it's going to answer all these questions and we're going to find out about Snoke and we're going to find out about parents, raised parents. Those were wake up call for Episode 8 and 9 screenplays. Wake up call, Rian Johnson. This is not Star Wars fans' bullshit. This is difficult to explain because I have very strong feelings about it. All right. I can promise you as a filmmaker, I know the magic. As a magician, I know the secret to your tricks too. You even put it on the BTS on the DVD and explain it all every time, which is great. But I know the secrets too. We're human beings. We both have to go to the commodes. We both have to eat every day. We both don't want to be caught in cold rain. Unless there's warm soup and good Neil Young playing on a jukebox or something like that. In a shitty diner maybe. I can separate, as an editor, I can separate my brain into two, my mind into two. One of them is the Star Wars fans. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan. I want to know about whose race parents are. I want to see what color the new lightsaber is going to be. Is the Force Ghost of Han going to be in it? Yeah, okay, all right. But I'm also a lover of movies in general. So I'm going to keep my opinion mostly and I'll let you know when the Star Wars fan side comes out, but just as a movie. Just as a mother flipping movie. Shout out to J3 Entertainment, because I watched their review of episode 8 and I just could not stop. I had to stop it because of my eyeball. I thought I was going to bust a blood vessel. I was just clapping and laughing the whole time. I'm sure my roommate thought I was crazy, but and I watched their review of episode 8, I think like 5 times. Like I go to my favorite parts. The side of the brain that is just a person who loves movies, okay? Now, I go to the movie, it's a science fiction film or whatever. Star Wars, right? Oh, yeah, they made some old movies or whatever. Oh, it's part 8 in a series. So, it's like episode 8 or an episodic series. Oh, it's like issue number 8 if it was a comic book or a magazine series, and I just go in, forget Star Wars. Because I went into it, I put my Star Wars shit aside. I said, rock me, Ryan. Fucking rock me. You know what I mean? Like, I am open and hoping. Let's do this. I cannot wait. I have no words. I'm sure Rian Johnson's thoughts dwell somewhere in the ballpark of, you Star Wars fans need to get over it. We're taking Star Wars in a new direction. And I'm totally on board with all that. But Rian Johnson's story is held to a certain standard of what came before, because it is episode 8 in an 8-part series, or at least 8.5 or 9 if you include Rogue One. It is not its own first-time film coming out of the blue about some movie called Star Wars. It is the 8th chapter, so it is connected to 7 previous chapters. It's not the fans that are weighing you down or have given you all this criticism because you should have been weighed down more. It's by default of the movie you're making. It's the 8th part with 7 previous parts. And for 7 movies and 7 VHS tapes, 7 laser discs back in the 70s, 7 DVDs, 7 Blu-rays, 7 downloads at least. And if you include behind the scenes of everything, that's like 14. If you include documentaries thereof, like Empire of Dreams, that's 15. That's a lot of people buying a lot of shit. So I would hope there would be some minimal amount of respect for the previous 7 episodes that came before, considering we're the ones, the fans, pay the money. It's like we're all stockholders in a way. And let's be real. Let's be real about it. Star Wars is a cultural legacy. It's far bigger than just the film that it was. It's a low-budget space farmer film. Episode 7 posed deliberate questions, not as a Star Wars fan, just as a person watching a movie. Oh, this is number 7 in a series. Episode 7 posed deliberate questions. The main one, that's like in your face, is one of the very first persons we see, Kylo Ren. Is he a Jedi? Oh, he must be some kind of, I don't know. But it gives us enough pieces of information, and there are 6 previous movies upon which you should see to draw your information, your well of observatory from, to apply to episode 7 to know enough to say, okay, whoa, he's being trained by some kind of Dark Lord of the Sith or some shit like that. That's good enough. We can ride on that. And we find out he's the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia. Organa of Alderaan, which was destroyed. May the Force be with them and also with you. The second person we want to know about is Rey. She's powerful, and we know from the previous 6 movies that requires training in the Force. Knowing about her parents would automatically clue us in on who she is. Is she some sort of demigod? Is she like Wonder Woman? Wonder Woman? And she just is this a comic book movie now? I mean, it is a burning question that kind of throws episode 7 a little bit off because it doesn't really address that in any way. And it's kind of like a little hot burning tsetse fly or whatever you call them. The little flies just burning a little hole in the side right next to your pupil in your eye. Not enough to kill you or blind you, but enough to just be like, what is going on here? Where is this superwoman? Where does she, come from? Where does she get her powers? Well, we don't find out. But it's a compelling enough story, episode 7, that, you know what, JJ? You know what, filmmakers of episode 7? We're going to give you a pass. Because the rest of the movie was balling enough. We're going to give you a pass. But that little burning spot next to the pupil right there in the eye, it needs to come out. We're going to let it slide because in episode 8, these things would be answered. Next question posed deliberately in episode 7. Who is Snoke? You can't just have a character show up like that unearned. That's crazy. You want to say, well, he's the mirror image of, he's the Emperor of the new trilogy. Okay, the Emperor was introduced and not shown for an entire film in episode 4, New Hope. The Emperor has dissolved the council permanently. Remember that shit? And it's called the Empire, which means there would be an emperor. And then in episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, he's only shown for, what is that shit? It's like, we have a new enemy. Luke Skywalker. He could destroy us. If he could be turned to the dark side, he could become a powerful ally. Yes. Can it be done? The son of Skywalker will not be... I don't remember the lines. Who is Snoke? Now, so who is Snoke? Right? The Emperor had 2 whole movies before we saw this dude. Snoke just shows up like that? No preparation, no nothing. Just no lotion, so to speak. No KY. Just going to give it to us like that? Okay. You know what? The rest of the movie is compelling enough, and we're going to forgive him. We're going to say, we're going to let it pass. We're going to let it pass like those red beans and rice. Just let it pass on through. Take your little gas X or whatever. We're just going to let it fly. It'll be answered in episode 8. And according to the trailers of episode 8, it looked like it was going to be balling. We were so excited. The only other main criticism of episode 7, which episode 8 didn't have to address, though, is that, come on, man, this giant Death Star, this Death Star 3, man, come on. Come on, Lawrence Kasdan. Y'all got to get a little bit more creative. Look at Rogue One. They didn't have to they had the old Death Star and didn't hardly use it. What they were fighting was the shield protector thing. I try to watch the space battles in Rogue One at least once a week because it just gets me going in the morning. You know what I mean? Boy, when that fleet drops out of hyperspace. Oh, This is Admiral Raddus of the Rebel Alliance. Okay. That was a minor issue because who the hell is Raddus? They just needed to have Akbar be like, hello, cousin. And it would have been, because who the hell is this dude? It's like, hey, that's not how Admiral Raddus of the Rebel Alliance. Engage those Star Destroyers and let's start probing that shield. Oh, man, I love that dude. Man, I love Rogue One, dog. Like Gareth Edwards, for real. We're gonna have a little. This is all tequila. Anyway, these are deliberate questions posed by episode 7. Ass. Answers. Ray's parents were nobodies. What is she, the empress of the universe? Is she Zeus? Just come on down? Did the Force itself take human form? Like, is this a Messiah story? We already have that rolling. And it ain't been answered. What about the chosen one? Obviously, there's some reincarnation going on there, but didn't want to use that. Would rather just basically just, people are like, well, who was Ray's parents? And basically Ryan Johnson in episode 8 were just like, yeah, I don't know. And who cares? We got Force Broom Kid showing up at the end. What the hell? All right, let me reiterate. I love that there are female leads and black people and different ethnicities around the world in Star Wars Episode 8. I freaking love it. In fact, it's about time. There should have been more Carrie Fisher type, or you know what I mean, like strong lead females a long time ago, And furthermore, these people who talk all this shit on Kathleen Kennedy with this big circle with the X going through it, or like showing her with devil eyes. Let me just remind you of the contribution that Mrs. Kennedy, that's right, Mrs. to all you haters, or at least Miss Kathleen if you're in the South. 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Just that alone, forget the rest of the list. She has her street cred, bruh. Poltergeist. Toby Hooper, son. Soundtrack by Jerry Goldsmith, all-time great films. One of the greatest horror films of all time. E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. How many tears, if you could collect the tear shed over the end of E.T. or when he's sick and that camera tilts down and here's a shout out to John Williams, one of the greatest composers of all time. Gremlins. Also Jerry Goldsmith. The Temple of Doom. What's that? Antidote to what? The poison you just drank, Dr. Jones. The poison works fast, Dr. Jones. Too much to drink, Dr. Jones. Okay. Can't do that right now. Back to the Future. All right. Just consider yourself a permanent sidekick to the company lipstick and knee pads because you're on your knees getting ready to lick the feet of Kathleen. I mean, dude, come on. Empire of the Sun. Batteries not included. Money. I mean, it goes on. Last Crusade. All the Back to the Hook. Good form, Peter. Bad form, Shmee. Indian in the Cupboard, directed by Yoda himself, one of the greatest puppeteers of all time, Frank O.Z. Greatest puppeteers of all time, with the exception of his partner Jimmy Henson. Where you at? In the sky, baby, in the sky. Jurassic Park films. Okay, you should be, I would say, maybe not quite licking the ground she walks on, but you need to at least be serving her some really well homemade pancakes with the finest cut of foreign Japanese lactose-free pigs bacon ever. Stomach fat. Okay, so she fucked up. All right? Give this woman a one and get out of jail free card. Y'all leave her alone. All right? She's trying to work, obviously, with feminist agenda, which is fine with me. It is overdue for that shit. I'm like, damn, like I already drank 5 cups of coffee, been taking 3 naps right here. Damn, waiting on this shit. Civil rights was a long, time ago. Where's all this shit? Why is this taking so long? Good, strong female. In fact, I'm going to vote even more feminist than Kathleen Kennedy. I'm going to say something way more feminist because the shit is racist. Star Wars, human racist. Where are all these goddamn aliens. There's aliens all up in the original trilogy, all over the place. One of the main villains, oh, Kijoma, oh, Jin Solo, oh. Now everybody's human. That's the same with Rogue One. Where's all these aliens? Racists. Human racists. Not racist, black, white racists. Racists. Y'all need some aliens. That's crazy. I mean, the humans from Coruscant must be just ruthlessly racist. Anyway, none of these questions were answered. I'm going to repeat what 1,000 YouTube videos I always say, man. All that casino shit, man, what the hell was that? That was like freshman level screenwriting. Like, clearly this part can be cut early in the writing process. I'm cool with the changes, like as far as things changing and developing, because it should feel like a revolution or a revelation. It should feel like revelationary. Okay. You killed Luke. All right. Here's the problem with that. It's not that I'm like the Star Wars fan inside of me. Oh, you killed Luke. No. Here's the problem with that. As just a movie person, Luke Skywalker is the star of the original Star Wars trilogy and survives. We all know that. The Battle of Endor. We waited 35 years to see what would happen in the next episode, and we had to get prequels, but we knew he wasn't in them. Episode 7. They spent an entire film talking about and getting to him. He don't show up to the last mother flipping 60 seconds of the film, which is cool. Again, that's more weight put on episode 8. We're going to let it slide. We're just going to let it slide. We've been waiting to see him, and you know what? That might have been a stroke of genius, because now we will go see episode 8. Just let it slide, Lord. Let it slide. I'm sorry that much pressure was put on episode 8, but JJ had to do what he had to do, and I think he did a great job. We waited a whole movie only to have this dude show up in episode 8, basically be an old fart, washed up, like he never leaves the planet. He don't even have a real lightsaber battle as far as like him actually doing it. I don't know what to say. He's just shitty. And on top of that, the Luke we know would not suddenly decide to murder his nephew. What? Man, look what Luke went through just to redeem his own daddy. Somebody he didn't even grow up with or never met. Dad's just fucking somebody in a dark suit mowing people down on Rogue One. Wasn't that one of the greatest scenes ever in Star Wars history? The end of Rogue One. It's balling. He don't have a proper lightsaber fight. Rey trained. Think about Rey literally between episode 7 and episode 8. Like what? 48 hours pass? 72 top, something like that. Rey is trained up, Superwoman. No explanation for her parents, except there were no bodies, which is the same as no explanation or worse. Snoke is mowed down. I can't even talk about this part. I wanted to just build up to it, and I feel weird because I build up to it. I'm not going to really talk about it that much. But it's just too hurtful, man. In fact, this bullshit, Snoke, who the hell is that dude? Doesn't matter now. He's dead. We don't care now. This is how I feel. I don't even want this on me right now. This is what I'm wearing now, okay? Because I'm not going to go see episode 9 at the movies. I don't even care how much that he's dealt with it, JJ does with it, because JJ has already come out in defense of episode 8, saying that if you don't like it, then you don't understand Star Wars or you're scared of women leads. And that is just so untrue. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't know anybody that gives a shit about. I'm happy that there's make episode 8 nothing but women leads, but make them women aliens. Stop being racist. I'd like to give a special shout out to Henderson, Louisiana, right here. The Atchafalaya Basin Swamp Tours, Montshire, right there in Henderson, in the Atchafalaya Basin. All right, this is Marsh Woodworth. I'm sorry episode 8 was so terrible, and I thank you for watching. I'm not even going to ask you to subscribe. I don't care. I did this because it needed to be done. I'm not trying to do it for any other reason. I love y'all. Don't forget, love each other, man. I know that sounds like some hippy dippy, some liberal bullshit. All right, all those goddamn liberals. making it okay to have goddamn their pro-sodomy cakes put in my daily stores where my kids eat donuts in the morning every Sunday before we go to Southern Baptist Church. The good Lord don't want that kind of shit going down in his kingdom, because we're talking about New Jerusalem, amen, South will rise. Sorry, that's just a little me making fun of Southern culture, but it is surprisingly, I promise you, very accurate. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and just so you know, I'm a pro Bernie. I like Bernie. You know what I mean? Ain't perfect. He ain't perfect, but he's the closest we got ya. He's the best. Bernie Sanders 2020. You heard me? Out.